Welcome to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast, where a bunch of 30-something nerds talk about all things gaming and the like. We are your average enthusiasts that try our best to dive into all the games, shows, and movies that we nerds love to indulge in. We celebrate our favorites, and we shit on a few duds along the way. I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by Jordan, Trevor, and Daryl. Here's a taste of what your ear holes will be blasted with today.
Started kind of figuring out what the next steps would be.
Okay, do you want to take us through the next steps? I want to.
I don't want to ramble, but
no. I'm
This
invested.
is the story of its inception.
I'm leaning in. I'm hands on knees right now. What's going to happen next?
I want to know. Today's episode is entitled "Roger That." Everything is A-OK 47 here. So whether you are a lone wolf, tactical assassin, fan of all things firearms, a passionate gamer, or someone called Legendary Larry, you're going to love today's episode. Much to our delight and excitement, today is all about mobile games, but more specifically about the inner workings and development of some of those mobile shooting games, right? Who better to come and chat with us about this than the actual legend himself, Simon Hason of SHD Gaming Incorporated. So join us as we get tactical and take our best shot with Simon on the complex world of mobile gaming and gather all the intel we can. We're out. So, obviously, Simon, welcome. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you very much for having me. And that was a sick intro. That was well done.
That's all Daryl.
You can thank Daryl. Yeah,
It's like Daryl knows you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going on 20-something years, so
Yeah, we've known each other a very long time.
yeah.
So, like I said, you have your own mobile gaming company.
I guess so.
Studio, one man wonder.
Yeah, sort of like a very small indie developer. So I do know a little bit about the industry, but I'm a bit of an anomaly because most games are built with studios, teams, budgets. I'm just a dude who sits on a computer and has a good time, and it's been working out, so I carry on, but I'll enlighten as much knowledge as I can, I guess.
And that's all we look for. We just look for the good enough experience, right?
Yeah.
It's our mantra. It's on brand.
Checks out.
We don't want to muddy the waters with HR and budgets.
No.
Not about
I
that.
like it.
We don't need that highbrow thinking over here.
Perfect.
So when did you actually start developing?
I think I was about 13 or 14 when I launched my very first game.
Wow.
Holy shit, what?
Yeah, it was back in the day. Did you guys ever go to like stickdeath.com and watch those like
fuck yeah.
Newgrounds and all that? They would have those crazy animations, and
Yeah.
I'd watch those and I was like, man, that looks awesome. Like, how can I make this? And then I found out there's a program called Flash.
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool. It's Flash. Got Flash, started making Stickman stuff, little animations, putting stuff on Newgrounds, and then built a little bit of like a fan following. And then some guy showed me a little bit about programming. And then I remember the very first thing I ever programmed was a button. So click a button and a sound effect goes off. And like, what if I made that button a stick man? And when you click him, he just dies. He died. I was like, oh, I'm getting somewhere here. And then I'm like, all right, instead of a mouse cursor, let's have a sniper scope. I put that over top of the guy, click the button, he dies. And I was like, SHD was born. So.
I feel like I've played that game.
It's amazing.
I feel like I've played at least one or two of your early games.
Yeah. They seem to do well. Like it's a very simple concept, and people took to them and built more of a following. Ended up getting a sponsorship for that game for $500. And when you're like 14 years old or whatever I was,
That's a big deal.
yeah. That's like, hey, Dad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was strutting around like thinking I'm the man, and then that just kind of like carried me forward. I kept going from there.
So in that, have you kept track of how many games have you released
Good question.
from the inception of SHD? games?
I don't want to take too much time going through my head, but I would say at least 10, and then probably 4 of which are on mobile.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so that was sort of the transition. Like back in the day, I made games on just Flash for Newgrounds, Armor Games, Congregate, those websites we've all kind of been on.
Yeah.
We grew up on,
The early era of essentially what was mobile games. Yeah.
Yeah, the websites that were blocked at school.
Yes,
Correct.
exactly.
Yeah.
The glory days. Like I miss those. And the thing about that is it was great for like a community. Everybody was like showing each other their stuff and everybody was just like being artists basically. Right. But fast forward a little bit of years, I'm starting to turn 20, 25, and I'm still doing this. And, you know, $500 a game, $1,000 a game, takes like months to build a game. The math doesn't check out for like a grown man to exist on this sort of income. So I was like thinking, I would love to do this professionally, but what I'm doing right now is not very feasible. Right. So what ended up happening was Flash made a little SDK that you could port to mobile phones. And this was like right when Angry Birds and the very first big apps were popping off.
Oh, yeah.
Day one, golden.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like kind of doing research like, these games are interesting. Like how much money do they make? Millions and millions and millions of dollars. So like, okay, that's better than $1,000, $1,500 here and there. So I was like,
no doubt,
maybe this could work. Let's try that. Ended up a buddy of mine who also made kind of stickman sniping games. He put one out onto mobile and I think they sold like millions. So this guy was just rich.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm going to be rich. This is going to be great. So I just started making this first mobile game. I think it was Tactical Assassin Mobile. And I was like, easy money. I just put this out and I'm a millionaire. It's going to be great. Worked for, I don't know, I think maybe a year or so on the game. And the whole time I'm telling my parents, like, don't worry, I can retire you soon. Like, I don't have to do good in school. Daryl can attest to that. I wasn't doing great in high school. I'm like, don't worry, I'm going to be rich. Like, easy money. Launched the game and I'm like, could barely sleep. I put the game out. I'm like refreshing my phone and then the revenue number's at 0. I'm like, I must just like update in the next day. So I'm just like refreshing. It's like 2 a.m. refresh. Where's my millions of dollars? Where's my money? What's going on? That went on for days. And then I got like $5. I was like, $5? What is this? So I dig into it. Sure enough, made no money. The game just didn't work. So
just
then
deflating.
Super deflating, but also good and humbling because I feel like nothing should come that easy. You know, like you should have to earn it a little bit. So then back to the drawing board, I was like, okay, I know people can make money in this. I'm not making money in this. What's the disconnect? What do I got to do? So started kind of figuring out what the next steps would be.
Okay, do you want to take us through the next steps? I want to.
I can, yeah. I don't want to ramble, but
no.
I'm
This
invested.
is the story of inception.
I'm leaning in. I'm hands on knees right now.
Oh,
What's
sweet.
going to happen next?
Awesome.
I want to know.
Okay, so I launched Tactical Assassin on mobile. I think after a few months, it made like maybe 10 grand or something like that. So it was like enough to be like, okay, something's happening here. Like this can work. Then I learned the reason that friend of mine made a bunch of money was because he went with a publisher. And then that sparked a whole new side of the business to me. I was like, oh, you can't just be the guy making the stuff. There's people who have to sell it and do all the marketing and all this stuff. Right. And because he went with them, the professionals, they were able to make this game make a bunch of money.
Right.
I'm like, all right, I got to go talk to them. So I reached out to them like, hey, I can make these types of games that you have made money on. Let's work together and make money together. I like money. I would like to continue doing this. So sound good? Question mark. They come back. They're like, yep, this is sweet. Let's do it. And then they just sort of gave me this, like, this was my first taste of like professionalism. It's like, this is what we need by this time. This is what our quality assurance people are going to go through. And like, it was just like dropped into like what the actual business side of this whole thing looks like for the first time ever. Cause like, you know, Newgrounds and this and that, you're just putting stuff up and sometimes you get thumbs up, some thumbs down. Like you never know. But now
was that like a shell shock to you? Like, was that like a whole, you know, like you're Aladdin on a flying carpet, like just a whole new world?
Yeah. Cause they're like,
Oh my god.
They're basically telling me how the business model works and like
Okay.
what I need to put in the game. And like, I've never really considered how to actually make money in these games. I just thought like, I don't know, people just buy them and there you go. But at this time, the mobile market was, and you mentioned in the intro, like how, like in-app purchases and those kind of things work.
Yeah.
This was when the industry shifted to like free games that you buy stuff in or watch ads in. And I had no idea how any of that worked. And it's like, it's a very intricate business model. So they're telling me what I need to do and all this stuff. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is going to be like a lot of learning, right? A lot of learning, a lot of growth. It was fine. I'm still a young dude. I'm still new in the game, still having a good time. So I'm making the games professionally now. And I think I was, at this point, I was like, oh man, I have so many like ways to tell this story. But at this point, I'm clearly not a professional, not making any money, right? I have jobs here and there, just working like warehouses and this and that. Just like, I didn't have any schooling. So I'm like, not a professional, spending some time on a computer making these games. And now I have a new girlfriend that ended up being my wife. And her mom had to sit her down and be like, listen, Amanda, you have to understand something. Simon's a great guy. He's very nice. We love him. It's great. But you're going to have to be comfortable being the breadwinner in this relationship. Understand what that means. And she has this big meltdown. She's like, basically in a very nice way. She's like, you're a loser. Like, what are you doing?
She don't want no scrubs.
She don't want no scrub. Hanging out the best friends ride, the whole thing. I had the whole thing going. And I had to really sit down with that and be like, fuck the right. Like, I am kind of a loser. Like, I got to figure this out. So then I kicked it into high gear and I was like, okay, I'm working with a professional company. I can't treat this like a little hobby anymore. I got to sit my ass down and like be a professional, work, track my hours, like put in like 40 hours a week, be a full-time game developer. So I started doing that for fucking 2 years before I finished level. Took forever. So it was a grind. It took forever because it was, a lot of new systems and a lot of new things I had to learn. And then I'd think I'd be done and I'd send it to this company and their quality assurance people and everyone would just tear it to pieces. Like, this doesn't work. That doesn't work, blah, blah. For months, I'm just fixing like bugs. Okay, send off a build. No, it doesn't work. Rinse and repeat. And then finally, after this whole like process, I'm like burnt the fuck out. Like it's a grind. So I'm like, I remember it's pretty much like the night before launching the game or before they launch the game because the publisher does that for you. I was lying in my apartment with my girlfriend at the time, but wife now. And I'm just like, I fucking can't. Like, this is horrible. Like, I just can't keep going like this. And she's like, it's going to be fine. This is just, you'll be okay. Just take a break. You've been working really hard, blah, blah, blah. And that was like a pivotal moment. It was like, if that game didn't work, I just couldn't keep going. Cause like at the end of the day, you have to kind of grow up eventually and be like, I need to make money. I need to make a living. I need to like be able to support myself, support my family. Like I need to just grow up. Right. So I was lying there on the floor, like, fuck, this is the moment. This is it. Let's see what happens. Game made $45,000 in the first week.
Oh,
oh shit.
Oh shit, this worked. This fucking worked. So sure enough, the publisher's doing their thing, selling the hell out of the game. I'm finally making a decent living off this, like pretty good money's coming in. And then after that, it just kind of like kept coming in. It kept coming in. I'm like, oh my God, I found it. Like I love doing it. It's so much fun. It's challenging as hell. It's a grind. But man, the rewards are there. So like, it's worth it. So just kept at it. Kept going. Here I am. I think that was in 2016. So
oh, wow.
Lone Wolf was my first successful release.
Nice.
To actually be a professional, make money, and kept going.
That's great. So you're entirely you're entirely self-taught then.
Yes.
Fuck.
Wow.
I get
That's crazy.
I shouldn't say that just because, like working with that publisher taught me fucking so much stuff. And then
I taught him everything he knows. He's just modest right now.
Daryl, where the fuck is our good enough
mobile
game?
Yeah.
Like Where's my $45,000?
I already imparted it into the world through Simon. I owe nothing now.
Oh, okay.
He did sit me down in high school. He said, "Listen, everything you do is mine in perpetuity for the rest of your life. All you will get in return is my friendship." And I signed the paperwork, and it was
on the dotted
best
line.
deal. Best deal I ever made.
So I'm going to go corporate here. I want to circle back.
Circle back.
Yeah.
Let's circle back.
I'm sorry, but you brought it up a little bit as far as the way games have been monetized now versus previously, where you just click the buy button, spend $1.50, and you get a whole game. And now companies are going more with the in-game ads and the microtransactions. How do you control any of that at all as the developer, or is that like a publisher responsibility? And then with that, if you are the person to control it, how do you strike a balance between wanting to be able to support yourself because this is your living essentially, and also not overwhelming users with microtransactions?
That is, to be honest, the absolute biggest struggle I find in the whole thing, because if you took money out of the equation, then it's just pure art and you're just having fun. You're making what you really want to make, and you're making it for people purely to enjoy. You don't have to have any especially with those free to play games, the whole mechanic, the whole thing is nothing in those games is free, but they're for free. Right. So you're but it's a free game. The whole thing is you either pay with time. So that would be come back tomorrow and you get your free gems. Okay, I get enough gems in 20 days to get the thing that I want. So that's time. Or you pay with pain. So that's fucking grinding over and over and over. And you're just when will this end?
Yeah.
Or you're paying with money, right? So because of that, you have to design the game in a way that's saying you almost have to take fun away from people a little bit. Put them in this little squeeze where you're you get them hooked in the game, get them having fun, they're having a good time, but then it starts to squeeze where they're fuck, I'm not progressing anymore. It's not it's no longer really that fun, but I'm almost addicted to it, because that's what a lot of these games do, is they use casino tactics and all kinds of little methods to kind of keep you hooked. And that stuff's gross and I don't like doing it, but at the end of the day, that is what is the lucrative business model. And especially for mobile, if you try to just charge people for a game, you make no money. Nobody will pay for it up front.
That day is done.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Which is too bad, because I would prefer that, to be honest.
Well,
I would too, honestly.
I think the challenge, is not only is it a successful model on mobile, but it's also a successful model on consoles too.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And without and I think that's why we've seen the demo generation disappear too. Because back then, a game would be $5, but maybe there was a demo where I could play it for an hour and just see if I wanted to spend that $5 of my time.
Yeah.
And now that's just, the whole thing is,
can't go to Best Buy and just pick up the controllers and play on the TV in a tube.
Honestly, I got my money's worth out of Super Mario Strikers on the GameCube at my local Best Buy.
Street from your high school.
Yeah, I didn't even need to buy that game back in the day.
You guys remember going to video stores and just renting a game? That was awesome.
Thank you to my sister.
Yeah. I was going to ask, what is because you mentioned it, the QC QA process obviously has to be nuts. Because I do have to say, as much as we can shit on mobile games sometimes, I think of Angry Birds and some of those Bejeweled and all that shit. I don't think I've ever played a really shitty, buggy mobile game. Unless it's really super like you're saying, right? Something on a Newgrounds that some kid did in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But
it's
crazy.
Those mobile games, if you really kind of look at them, especially there are some really, we'll call them AAA type of mobile games, maybe Genshin Impact or something where it's a big RPG with
Honkai Star Rail.
worst
I'm
name
not
for a
familiar
game.
with that, but I'm sure
It's brand new.
I'm
It's
sure
like the next Genshin Impact.
It's Genshin in space. It's their Starfield of Genshin.
Guys,
damn.
I've been getting a lot of ads for it on TikTok. So
Oh
Gotcha.
god, yeah. Waifus in space.
Where does Daryl sign up?
You had me at waifu.
Space, Fantasyland doesn't matter where, anywhere.
Nope.
Good to go.
No.
So yeah, if you're looking at those like more robust, let's call them AAA style ones, that definitely takes a lot of QA and a lot of testing. But a lot of the successful mobile games are very, very simple systems. Like Candy Crush is a very simple system.
Flappy Bird. Like
Flappy
God.
Bird's
Yeah,
extremely
remember
simple.
when that went absolutely viral?
yeah, and the guy quit. Like he shut
Yeah.
it down.
You guys know that story? How he was just making so much money that it just more money, more problems hit him, and
Yeah.
basically pull it from the store.
Yeah,
Pull the plug.
I remember
People were
Yeah.
selling their phones that had
Yes,
it
I
on
was
them
gonna
for like
say,
millions of
I
dollars.
remember that part after. Yeah.
Yeah.
which is just ridiculous.
Which is funny. Didn't that recently happen with the guy who developed Only Up on Steam? There was a game
Yeah.
where you just had to climb
Yeah.
up, and the same thing. It just blew up for some crazy reason because the Twitch and everyone
Streaming
got a hold of
community
it.
loved that
And then he's
game.
like, "Yeah, I can't do this anymore. This is fucking ridiculous." And he just
But, like,
failed.
I would love to sit down with him and ask him like, why? Why not just like
What
what's
happened?
wrong with like
What's wrong with making money?
Is
Move
that-
on to the
I'm-
next game. And
I'm
just,
curious
like,
if that's like winning the lottery, and you start getting these like vague family members coming out of the woodwork, be
Yeah,
like,
I
"Hey,
guess.
can I have a handout?" Like it feels
That's
like that,
true,
right?
that's
Like
true.
you
Yeah.
won the Powerball, and now all these like random ass people are coming for you.
You
that
know,
would be
you're-
true. And then it's just
It's a good point.
compounds
Yeah.
a bunch of problems. Like now you have to deal with taxes, and now you have to deal with like, accountants, lawyers, all these people.
Now you have to hire an accountant to deal with your shit
Right.
and hope they
Yeah,
don't steal your
yeah.
money.
Accounting, that's like, you ask me what's the worst part of game development, I'd be like, accounting. Business. That shit is just,
It's the worst.
yeah. I think the
Okay.
Flappy Bird guy, the reason he pulled it down was he's in Vietnam. And I think
Okay.
the story goes that like in Vietnam, there's a bit more organized crime, and they started knocking on his door like, "Hey, you're rich now, are you? Well, maybe you need protection." And then protection from what? And then
For
they're-
me,
yeah, they're just gonna go, yeah, you guys get the racket, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
classic
Yeah.
mob.
Yeah. At that point, I'm buying a plane ticket the fuck out of there.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, for real.
yeah.
I'd have been
So,
Flappy
I mean,
Birding my
you
way
said-
right the fuck out of Vietnam.
Yeah.
So Simon, you said that obviously accounting, worst part about game development. What's your favorite part?
Oh, the very beginning of a new project is like that's where it's the best, because you get to just experiment and fuck around and prototype, and you're just being pure creative. You don't know what's going to lead to what. The game I'm actually working on right now, like I had no clue I'd even make it, but I was farting around in Unity, just doing shit, and then one thing led to another, and I'm like, oh, I never knew I could make a game like this. This is fucking sweet. Let's do it. So
Can you-
oh yeah,
Give us a preview or
Ooh,
tell us about it.
Paint us a
Yeah,
word
yeah.
Good
picture.
enough gaming exclusive.
Good
Only
enough.
only on the good enough
Elaborate.
gaming. Yeah, only here. I'm gonna need you guys to all just quickly sign an NDA and send that.
Hey, wouldn't be your first.
Can we?
Yeah.
Can we
Sure.
first get the? Can we get like the LimeWire shitty downloaded version intro of this? Good enough exclusive. Web.
Yeah, I'll send that over. For sure. Those were the days too. Like we grew up in the glory days of the internet.
Yeah,
like
we
the
So
did.
innocent.
LimeWire.
I'm convinced that I'm good with computers and fixing issues with
Because we
computers
broke it so
because
often.
Yeah.
we fucked up the computers so much.
I broke
with
my own
LimeWire.
family computer so
Yeah.
many times.
Multiple times.
We
Oh, yeah.
had to be IT,
Yep.
so we didn't get in trouble for fucking up the computer.
Oh
I
man.
got another virus from downloading stuff on Morpheus.
Yeah.
Yeah, Morpheus.
Lincoln Park -num.exe.
You hope.
Yeah.
You
You
hope. You always hope.
And there's only one way to find out. You just gotta open it. And,
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
it's not playing music.
Throw
We're fucked
that
up.
bitch into Winamp and hope for the best.
Yeah, wait.
Just even making your own website, Facebook profile in Nexopia back in the day.
Nexopia.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember Calgary Planet?
I bet, yeah.
Hey, yeah. Shit, this is just a Calgary.
Let him talk about his new game.
Yeah.
So it's called Goliath. You guys have played Modern Warfare, Call of Duty before?
Yeah. Yeah.
Once or twice.
You know when you get the kill streak, the AC-130, and you're just up in there blowing shit up?
Yeah.
That's the whole game. You're in an AC-130.
It's like the best part of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite. Every time I got that thing, I'd be fired up. So I was like, I'll just make the whole game that. So you're just basically circling the sky in an AC-130, just blowing shit up, unlocking new bombs, upgrading your bombs, calling in support units like helicopters and jets fly by and all this kind of stuff. And
so like a Harrier and then like a chopper gunner.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's basically like you could almost call it like the Call of Duty kill streak game. Where you just kill streak.
But not because
Kill
you're
streak
not getting
simulator.
sued.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. That's right.
We call it the kill streak
Let's edit
simulator
that part out.
because when we play against all the sweats, I'm not getting any of those kill streaks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the only
And I'll
time
market,
I can do it.
I'll market it that way too. Like, hey, do you have a job and you just can't sit on Call of Duty all day with those punk kids who just level themselves up to the moon? Play my game and feel like you're doing good.
The hacks will cost you $25. This will cost you $5.
There you go. There you go. Trevor, you need a business consulting job at all? Or?
If you're looking for a salesman, it's going to be
enough
Jordan.
consulting.
Yeah, it's going to be Jordan.
Yeah.
I can sell anything.
I'll write your intro.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Damn.
Well, you own the game, so
I'll
you do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
that's right. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
It's my
I
creative
love that
rights.
we're just fully,
Daryl will
fully
write,
inserting ourselves into this project.
Daryl's going to write
just the
the forward.
CEO.
Yeah, Daryl's going to write the forward to your book.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it. I like it.
If you need voice actors.
Yeah.
Yes. You have a good pal. You have like that raspy military type of like sending in some shit
Yeah.
kind of voice. I like it.
You just got to make sure he doesn't yawn halfway through his dialogue.
That's a symptom of gagness.
I'll be the medic.
Yeah.
You're on your own, motherfucker. I'm out of here.
Run, bitch, run!
I didn't sign up for this.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So so Goliath is the name of it.
Goliath, yeah.
And it's still I assume it's still in like development stages.
Yeah, fuck. I thought I'd launch it like a month ago, but it's same thing. I'm in my own squashing bugs. That's besides accounting, that's the other worst part of game design. It's just like, so that's why I said the beginning is the most fun because you're creative, things are actually happening. You know, you spend a day on the program and then something has happened. You program like a new bomb or an explosion or something happened that day. Tail end of the project, it's all just like fixing bullshit that you've done 1,000 times. You've clicked the same button on the menu a million times and then you send it to this Android device and he's like, oh, this button doesn't work. You're like, why? Then you go to the store and you buy that specific Android device and every device you played on that button works, but that one doesn't. So now you got to go open the program and it's just that kind of shit at the end of the project.
So how many do you actually just like own like a buttload of different phones just so like
Are you like the Pokemon Go guy with like 30 phones on his bike? Just running around just
right, yeah. Oh, the people at the used phone store, they're like, Simon, how's it going? New game, huh? And I'm like, yeah, I need this. But Android is annoying because they're all so different. Like at least iPhone's pretty consistent. Like they're their own little built-in little company, so everything they do is in-house. Whereas Android is like Samsung, Nokia, you know,
OnePlus.
You name it.
OnePlus.
Yeah.
Huawei.
It's kind of the wild west of phones. They can kind of do whatever the hell they want.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I tried, like, there was a couple that I searched for. Like, I was, wanted to go full research and I play a few more of your games. And a couple of them I couldn't even download because it was for like a different Android version.
Yeah.
It's like, that's frustrating as shit.
Yeah.
That's going to be frustrating as a developer to just be like,
oh, dude, that part sucks where, so let's backtrack to where I was talking about that Lone Wolf story, right? So you're learning all this new stuff and you get to the point where, I can launch this game with this knowledge and experience that I have. And then Google or Apple are like, hey, guess what? New policies, new changes to everything. And you're like, fuck, I got to learn everything again. Yeah, double. I got to learn everything again. And then they come out with another policy. So it's just like this never ending cycle of like, which is good. Like you always want to be learning. You always want to be challenged. And like, you want to feel like you're kind of moving forward on stuff. But man, I would fucking love to just not have to learn stupid shit like SDK implementation. Like go download this version of this new SDK and hopefully it works in your version of Unity. Like that's not really game design. That's just technical bullshit.
That's troubleshooting is basically all that is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
I still remember
you don't
when they
have
were like
trouble in
building everything on Flash.
Yeah.
And then Flash shut down.
Flash died.
Yeah. That's actually so funny because I don't know if you guys heard, but recently Unity, the big game engine, they had this huge controversy where everyone was shitting their pants. Like, how fucking dare you guys try to implement this pricing policy? I'm sure you guys probably heard.
Oh, they backtracked real quick.
Very much so.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they did.
There was a lot of backlash for that.
Yeah. I mean, do you know, I mean, as someone that works in the industry, do you have any more like insight into why they might have made that? Or was it just like a pure greed decision? Was it just like, we want more money?
I sat like for a whole week trying to understand what the fuck was going on. And there's a lot of ways you could look at it. I think at the end of the day, I do respect Unity for saying, hey, we need to make money. Like we need to be a viable company.
Right.
But at the same time, for the last few years, they've just been acquiring all these fucking bullshit companies to keep everything like in their own little world.
Yeah.
And one of those companies was like an ad platform company for like billions. Meanwhile, us developers are sitting here like, hey, are you guys going to update your fucking like engine? What your company is actually fucking doing? Like your game development engine?
The save button doesn't work.
Fuck off, peasant. Like, it's just crazy. Like we're all sitting there like, hey, we would like to make games. Like, please fix this stuff, make things work. We got business moves going on. So I think it was just, I would boil it down to like a disconnect between the executives, the high level executives, not really being in touch with gaming, not really being in touch with game development, not really understanding like what we kind of all desire and what we all need. And then just kind of making these high level business moves where honestly, I saw like the breakdown of how much money these guys are making. And in a company that is selling a game development engine, who hasn't touched their engine in a long time, these guys are raking in millions and millions of dollars just on these business plays that they're doing. So I think that was a fundamental thing where it's just like this disconnect of like, they're playing the business executive game, whereas everybody wants Unity to be a game development engine for all of us. Dudes like us, we want to sit down and enjoy experiences, video games.
Yeah.
They're playing a whole different game.
I don't give a shit what insurance company you bought.
Yeah.
On that note, with game engines and like you've got Unreal Engine, you've got Unity. Like as a game developer, how do you even decide where to build your games? Like is it just purely a financial decision on like the percentage kickbacks, or is it like how do you make that choice?
That's a great question. I would say, and I had to face that question because, as Daryl mentioned, like Flash just died one day, and I'm sitting there like, "Fuck, Flash is the only thing I know." So, and that's what I was going to say about this Unity thing is like all these developers are having this shitstorm over Unity, and I'm like, "Hey, boys, first time? I've been through this, so no worries." But I think if let's say somebody asked me like, "Hey, what should I use to make a game?" Immediately, I'll just point them to Unity just for ease because Unity is a very user-friendly engine. Has a great community and a lot of tools and support. You can easily make a game in Unity. But if you want to make like really, really high-level shit, that's where Unreal comes in. It's like that's where a lot of the AAA studios are working with that. You just get much better graphics, much better tools, but it's like it's a big boy engine. It's like it's a lot harder to make a game in that, from what I can tell. I've never used it, but from what I can tell. And Unity is entry level, user friendly. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, speaking of things that are unreal, I want to take a little. I think we could. This has been awesome. Like, it's really, really good hearing your insight into the industry and everything. But we're going to take a bit of a break into a little bit of a fun segment that this week is Daryl's Fantasy Face-Off. Fantasy Face-Off. Fight.
All right, for those that don't know, welcome to Fantasy Face-Off. This is where I pit two characters from anything that I want against each other in a battle to the death. And we decide who comes out as the victor, and you get to decide on social media if we're right, if we're wrong, if we're idiots, or if we're geniuses. So
we know we're idiots. So
we know.
So this week, I actually lined this up because I know that my boy Simon here is actually a action film fanatic from when we were kids, and so I pitted two kind of mega giants in the action film scene against each other, and just wondering, because we've never seen it, and I was always wondering who would win in a fight between Mr. Bloodsport, Jean-Claude Van Damme, versus the amazing and epic fighting of Jet Li.
Oh,
damn.
How are you going to do that to us?
That's a good matchup.
That's a good matchup.
Yeah.
We're talking like pretty much in the Bloodsport arena.
Prime.
One-on-one.
Prime. Both of them prime years,
Doing
ready to go.
between
Mano
chairs.
a mano. Yeah. We're
Okay.
talking full tilt Jean-Claude.
Is
Kicking trees
is
and
John
shit.
Woo around?
How many doves are flying in slow motion?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Thank
have
you.
to know.
That impacts the decision.
7 doves. Okay. All right.
Have
Wow,
either of them
holy
killed?
shit.
Have either of them killed each other's best friend?
Oh,
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
motivation is even.
Okay.
No
Even
vendetta
Steven.
motivation.
What is their motivation? Is this a fight to the death? Only one is leaving the pit,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
is
that's it.
for money?
Somebody's leaving.
The
Are
answer
they,
is
are they
Only
fighting?
two have
for-
entered, only one's allowed to leave.
Okay.
Mortal Kombat of
Yeah.
trick question. Chuck Norris.
A new fighter has entered the arena.
Oh
Daryl,
man.
this is a extremely difficult one.
Are weapons allowed? No weapons.
No, it's hand-to-hand combat.
Hand to
Just
hand.
these
Okay.
weapons.
Yeah.
I
Weapon one,
would put
weapon
my
two.
money. My money's on Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Ooh.
CVD.
Just by stature alone, like that dude's bigger. He's got bigger muscles and he's taller. I assume. I haven't seen them side by side, but
I'd hope so. I mean, Jet Li's a pretty tiny human from what I've seen. So
I just want to confirm with
That's what I
Daryl.
thought.
Daryl, you Jet Li, not Bruce Lee.
Correct.
Okay.
Jet Li.
yeah,
Just
Jet
Yeah.
Li.
making sure.
yeah.
Jet Li.
Is DMX backing up Jet Li?
Yeah, is there a
Yeah,
soundtrack in this
Him
fight?
and the whole Rough Riders crew are actually providing sound for the whole
Oh, I
fight.
changed my
Okay.
answer.
Yeah.
I changed my answer. Jet Li. That's
That's a
fuel
game
to the
changer.
fire.
Yeah, that's a game changer right there.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
At
Go
some
give it
point,
to you.
at some point, does Jean-Claude Van Damme do the splits?
That's
Oh,
when he starts
100%.
the
That's
fight.
warm up, bro. That's warm up.
Okay, just checking.
In that case, I changed back to Jean-Claude.
I gotta go with my boy Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, we got two JCs.
Yeah,
JC.
Bloodsport is one of my top movies from that era. It is so
Yeah.
good. I love that
Yeah.
movie.
I'm going with Jean-Claude,
Oh,
but not because of Bloodsport,
Pocket sand.
oh.
because of Street Fighter.
He's
Get
got
that-
the guile.
Gotta get that flat
He's
top
got
going.
guile. Yeah.
I mean, he was
Trevor, do you
coked
wanna-
up, he was coked up that entire movie. That's like performance enhancing drugs right there.
I'm pretty
So,
sure
Daryl,
he
is
was
there-
in blood sports.
Is there cocaine in this pit at all?
I don't know what's all littered in the pit.
That's not pocket
There might
sand.
be.
That's
Could be cocaine in the pit.
Pocket
I
coat.
don't think he would throw it at that point. Though.
I haven't used
That's
Cocaine
it.
Bear in the fight yet, but like that's probably coming at some
LeBron
point.
with
So.
the
That's up there.
Jean
yeah.
Claude be looking like one of the Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings, just a big handprint on his face.
Just-
Is there something on my face? I gotta say, this is probably a first. I'm the odd man out here. I was gonna say Jet Li.
oh,
Just,
okay.
just
Interesting,
from
interesting.
actual like experience, not just like bodybuilding action movie bullshit.
Right.
I mean, Jean
right.
Claude's above definitely like a Stallone or like an Arnold for sure in terms of actual skill and ability. But
Yeah.
I know I gotta give it to
and
Jet Li.
Seagal.
Yeah. Oh fuck, definitely Seagal. Jet Li grab that ponytail and break his neck.
Yeah, Jean Claude's not recording Jamaican music in his spare time like Steven Seagal is.
Or
So.
paying a guy to fall over just by like
Yeah.
hand slapping
Bullshito.
him and being
Yeah.
like, this is the technique that
Yeah.
made me
The
famous.
McDojo.
The McDojo. Well,
This
you
was
heard it
difficult,
here.
Daryl. This was like props to you. This was a difficult.
That's a fun one. What's your
It
answer,
was- yeah. What do you think?
I think that if it came to actual fight, like blow to blow, I actually think Jet Li wins this one. Like, it came down to just fighting, just pure fighting. If Jean Claude doesn't use his length, Jet Li's gonna kick his ass.
I will say this, like, I've trained a lot of jiu-jitsu, so I've been in like a lot of those MMA gyms and stuff like that. Karate is one of the first things that gets thrown out the window in an actual fight when people can grab you and like just throw you onto the ground. And the karate stuff is great, but
It looks cool.
it looks cool on screen.
I've seen
but-
Jet Li walk
Yeah.
on people's shoulders, so like
Yeah. Take
I
that,
was-
Mr.
I was
Miyagi.
almost-
Fuck you.
I was almost hoping for like a Jet Li Jackie Chan fight.
ooh.
that would
That
have
was
been
Jean
shot.
Claude is
that would have
no.
that
was
would
tough.
have been an amazing sequence. Like they can both move so well. in
So
there.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would have been beautiful.
Now, maybe this is a tease for a future episode, but when do we get Jet Li as a cameo in Mortal Kombat, Daryl?
Oh,
When does-
that'd be sick.
Like, when
I
does he
actually,
play
I
a
always
new
wish
character?
like they would make him like Kung Lao or something like
Ooh.
like that would be
Is he
so
doing
dope.
anything these
dude.
days? Does Jet Li still make movies or anything? Like,
I think he was-
kind of fell off the map.
He's getting
there.
older.
Yeah, I thought he was in
Yeah.
something in the
I
last
haven't
couple
seen
of
it.
years, but like I don't know. There's like a weird comeback. I saw some weird ass trailers today for some very strange action movies.
But all this talk of like martial arts movies
Oh, bring
makes
him
me want
back.
to go back and watch Jackie Chan movies.
Jackie Chan,
Three-
Chuck Norris.
Rumble in the Bronx.
Three
Ninjas
Ninjas.
remake.
Yes.
Three
Three
Ninjas
Ninjas.
remake stat.
I think we're gonna have to do like a martial arts movie episode.
Ooh,
I think it's
Put
gonna have to
put it in the.
You're
the
welcome,
pod
world.
notes. Yeah,
What I sparked.
Yeah. The
All right,
nostalgia is beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
we've gone through so many beautiful moments in time. Like we live in the glory era of everything. I think.
Yeah, they're remaking everything that was good when we were kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when's Pogs
What's
making a
old is
comeback?
new again.
When
Yeah,
who-
right.
Okay.
Can't wait to settle fist fights
I think-
over
I
paws.
think
Yeah.
Pogs are going to be remade and become like the bottle caps of Fallout when we get whatever nuclear hell we're about to experience. They're going to be
Right,
the currency
right.
will be Pogs.
In this economy?
Oh
All
my
right,
god.
so to bring it back around because our tangents are
Epic.
ever fruitful.
Epic.
What are you playing right now, Simon? Like, I want to know what you as Simon are playing. I don't know who else you'd be playing as, but maybe you like some RP servers. Who knows?
It's interesting because it almost like is touched on with this nostalgic stuff where I just feel like we had such a glorious era coming up. I feel like gaming's different now. I don't know if I'm just older or if it's just the industry or what, but like I would love to just go and sit down and fire up Modern Warfare 2. Like I love first person shooters.
Like OG Modern Warfare 2.
No, even this new one.
This
Love it.
really
Like, amazing
Okay.
graphics, great sound effects, everything. So I go sit down. I want to, after a day at work, I just want to sit and play the game. 15 gigabyte update.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just kind of wait an hour to play my game, and then I open it up and nothing has changed or nothing's happened.
Yeah.
And then fast forward 2 weeks, 15 gigabyte update again.
Yeah.
All right, not playing Modern Warfare 2. So what can I play? So I'll just kind of cruise around, and I don't know. It just like feels like everything's like a service now. It's like
Live
live service, or it's like, you know, seasons. So like if you don't have all the season stuff, then you're just getting crushed in multiplayer or whatever's going on. So not to shit on gaming too much, but I just feel like nothing touches those glory days of like the early gaming, you know. But right now I'm playing, as lame as it sounds, I fucking love the Tetris effect on PlayStation.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Heard really good things about it.
I know.
Real classic.
No.
Right.
I played
It's just
Tetris 99. I played all kinds of stuff. Like,
I've heard Tetris Effect in VR is like next level. I guess that game is like crazy good.
Damn, I didn't even know that existed. That'd be a trip for sure.
Because the soundtrack in that is really good, isn't it? Like it's got really nice music.
Not only is it the soundtrack, but all the effects and everything going on are like almost in sync with everything you do. And I was trying as a designer to figure out like how. Because like in Tetris, you can move stuff around and go up and down, or whatever. I'm like, how is it always in sync no matter what I'm doing? It just feels like the music and everything going on is just like perfect. I was like, holy shit. It's just like, I guess for me, when I'm, you know, programming and doing all this stuff all day, I just want to zen out.
Yeah.
Just not have to think, not have to update anything, not have to like figure out anything too complicated. So I just want to sit down and zen out. And I think that game's like the best experience I've had at just getting sucked into a zone.
So you touched on something there that I wanted to ask you about, and it's just gaming as somebody that develops your own games. Do you find it hard to play something and not just like pick it apart, or just hyper analyze and like go into almost like open up the back door and be like, you know, hey, what's going on back there?
Yeah.
Like
100%, man. 100%. Like I used to, back in the day, I used to write music, and I thought of like, it's almost like a little bit of a curse where it works for video games too. And the way I say it is you only get to experience something you love once, because as soon as you experience it once and you love it, now all of a sudden the brain that wants to know how it works and how they made it kicks in.
Right. Okay.
You can no longer like, you're like, I love this, so I want to understand how it works. And then you just no longer get that same experience. So
ruins the magic.
It kind of still magical. It's still an amazing experience, but it's definitely a different like lens you look at it from. And then the reason it's only once is because if you've never experienced it, so your experience is at 0, you don't know if you're going to love it or not. So you don't go into it trying to figure out how it works. Just go into it just to see what it's about.
One blind.
Get it. You go in blind. And then if you happen to love it, now you're like, oh shit, I'll never ever get that feeling again.
Yeah.
So
it's like seeing your favorite movie for the first time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That triggers my next question. If there was a game you could experience for the first time again, like fresh, what would that game be?
Oh, that's an amazing question. There's so many. I think that if I were to like say what was the most pivotal game of my entire life, that would have been Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah,
good choice.
Yep.
That game is probably why I'm a game designer. Like that just, I don't know, it just did something to me. It was just such an amazing, magical experience way back in the day. Like I think it was the first like time I realized like, oh, a game is actually like a piece of art where it has a story and it has depth and characters. And it just took me on this crazy wild ride. But it's very corny and cheesy. So if I was like playing it for the first time now, I don't think I would like it as much because I'm a, more mature, older guy. But it's like the teenage boy's little fantasy, like, oh, I'm this cool soldier and these girls on the radio are telling me like, oh, you're so strong, go get us and all this stuff. So I don't know how that would translate to like, the age I'm at now, but I'm not sure.
It is hard. It's hard to go back and play games from your past.
Yeah.
They don't always hold
say,
up.
like, you kind of have rose-colored glasses for a lot of the classics, especially when you compare them to new age games. But like my thing always is when we were younger, our imagination is still like so much higher and heightened.
Yeah.
And so like you're almost creating these like other facets to the story in between the parts that are being told.
Right.
So like you're playing, like I think about it all the time when I was playing like the old JRPGs. Like I'm creating story parts even when I'm just traveling in the open world, or I'm like just going through the random encounter fights. Like I've created a whole other narration that doesn't actually exist in the game. That will live kind of rent free in my head forever.
Yep.
But like how I came up with that, I don't know. But that's how I remember the game more. You're filling in the blanks as you go when you're younger. I don't know.
Yeah. I would love to flip that question on you guys and ask the same thing, because that's a cool question. Like what was your absolute most favorite game that you wish you could experience for the first time again?
I think Black Flag for me.
Ooh.
That's a great game. Yeah.
I remember playing that game so much and just like enjoying the experience of like sailing.
Shanties.
The shanties.
I keep circling back to it, and it's just like it just stuck with me. Even though like going back and playing it now, it doesn't play so well.
I believe the word is circumnavigate.
Topical. Very nice.
That's pirate corporate.
Wow.
Corporate speak.
I would actually have to say probably the original release of Modern Warfare 2. Like the ghillie suit.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever been so stressed
that mission
in a game. Like that was one of the best written like first person shooter moments. Ghillie suit, and then you get to the end and like spoilers if you haven't fucking played Modern Warfare 2, like, you know, like Ghost dies, like you get people that like all the twists and turns like that. I think especially like at that era when before first person shooters kind of got a little ruined by some of the stuff. That game was so good.
Yeah, it was so, and like the multiplayer was amazing.
Yeah. So I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna have a new game and an old game just because fuck you guys, and it's my decision. So
make a decision. Where you my wife? It's okay. She doesn't listen. It's fine.
She'll never know.
Old game for me, it'd be Mega Man X. Daryl kind of hit the nail on the head. Like I spent so much time as a kid in between levels coming up with like story beats and like different meetups with different characters that never happened. But that world just seems way more rich in my head than it probably does if you like go back and just read the dialogue that's happening in that game. And like I still play that every year, at least once, just to like hit that nostalgic beat. And that modern game, and mostly because we've talked about it so much in the past, but it'd be Elden Ring for me.
Oh,
like,
snap.
Just walking out into the lands between for the very first time and just seeing the sheer scope of everywhere you can go whenever you want to. Like that sense of freedom, I am like that hits a different note than I think a lot of modern games do nowadays.
I'm surprised you didn't say Tsushima.
Getting your skull immediately caved in by the dude on the horse.
Correct.
Okay, that's
good, Kyle.
I still have the worst and best experience with that guy from the beginning. Like,
it's one of the best stories. It's one of the best stories.
Oh my god, I never I didn't really play Dark Souls games before. Like, I've had very limited experience playing them or trying them, and I got to the first like save point inside that church, and I was running away from the huge golden guy on the horse. And I was like, oh, I'm at the save point. I'll be safe. He broke through the fucking wall of the building, killed me. I was at the save point, and I was like, how is this possible? Like, I
think we have you saved footage somewhere.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is nuts. But yeah, I'm going to go like a completely different. I just replayed Legend of Dragoon because like came out on the PS5, and it was like kind of revamped there.
And you
and
still
that's the
owned
game
it.
that I really think about when I think about like the story in between that I've made. From when I was younger, I remember playing. I remember being like, "Wow, the story's like amazing and immersive and crazy and so rich." And like I replayed, and I'm like, "Wow, this is actually really simple." Like I crushed this game really quickly, and I did all the stuff that I never did before, and like just stuff like that. Where so I love that game, and but I really think about how I felt playing the very first Mortal Kombat game, for the first time on Super Nintendo. And just like figuring out my first fatality by pure fucking trial and error.
Yeah.
And
I remember like people guarded those like they were like,
like I wrote it down and I was like, oh my God, I figured one out. Like, and I, just like losing my mind. And then the other one that I think a lot about was Need for Speed Underground. And we talked about it before, but for me, it was the first time you could really customize a car.
Yeah.
And and I spent hours and hours, like not even in the race mode, but like in the creation, like part with the car and like putting the decals on and changing the tint and
putting so many goddamn subwoofers in your Escalade.
I've these moments. Yeah.
Man, Mortal Kombat, that sparked a lot of memories for me. That was back when I would go to the like rental store, and I remember I was with my dad, and I went almost every hour because they had like 4 copies on the shelf, and it was like you would get the cover art, and then if you're lucky, the little package is behind the cover art, which means it's in stock. So you take that to the front, and they give you the game.
Yeah,
it's always empty. It was just the little empty cover art. So I'd come back every hour, like, when's this game going to be back? When's this game going to be back? And my dad was just mad. He's like, it's they've sold out. Like, what do you want to do here? I'm like, no, you don't understand. It'll come back, but I need to be there ready for it because other people are getting it. And it's just like, and then I would have to return it, and I would do that process over and over and over because I just loved that game.
Yeah,
so much fun.
Bring back the rental stores, man. Going to Rogers Video and Blockbuster on a Friday after school. Beats that.
Those were the best trips.
Is that last Blockbuster still open in like where
Alaska?
It's like Alaska?
States?
I think it's up in Alaska, and it might be. I can't remember. I think it closed.
Maybe.
Yeah,
crazy. Crazy.
Man,
I wonder if that's part of it too, where like, we talk about these glory days of gaming. Everything was less accessible and less like if you found a good game, it was like one of a kind. It's like, that game's amazing. But now you can literally just flip through like endless catalogs of games, download them right from the store on your device. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to like do anything. You're just like, I'll play this. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'll play this. It's pretty good. And it's just like, there's so many games and so many studios making games, and nobody's really like, there are obviously great games coming out, but I don't know. I just wonder if it's like we're just older, and as a kid, that stuff's more magical, or has the industry just changed that much?
I think the industry and the way that games are disseminated, for lack of a better word, like there's less hype buildup now for a lot of games. It's just sort of like, oh hey, it's available now. Ding, buy. There's no anticipation. There's no like getting your parents to drive you to the store to buy it for you to read the instruction manual on the drive home.
Like the plastic.
You had to. Exactly. Like there's not that same, like we live in a culture now that is like instant gratification constant.
Right.
So
there's not up at 7 p.m. for the midnight release of the game.
Just like,
that's the thing, right? Is like the way we consume media has changed. And everything is such like short, quick moments,
TikTok generation.
TikTok, 100%.
Yeah. And so I think that's, I mean, saying that it's ruined a lot makes me sound like an old bigot, but it definitely get off my porch.
You're not a bigot. You're just old and crotchety.
But it definitely has changed it. I mean, Kyle, like you're 100% right. Like that feeling of going to the store and picking up a physical copy. I remember standing in line in -20 weather in the snow for the next Call of Duty to come out with my brother, because that was the only way you could get that game. Like, you wouldn't buy it digital. You had to go get it in person. Like,
I remember us all staying up that night to play it. I am pretty sure we all logged on together.
Possibly, yeah.
Like, it's hard to replicate those days now.
Yeah. Maybe it's because
I think the closest we got was Warzone in COVID.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was back. Yeah.
Everyone was available because you couldn't fucking go anywhere.
Yeah.
As middle-aged guys, how was your Warzone squad? Because our squad got wiped out every fucking game. Like,
we had a great time.
Jordan and one of our other buddies carried us a lot. But
the amount of hours that my time count has for the first Warzone is insanity.
And then you divide that in half, and that's how much time he spent reviving Trevor.
Yeah.
Hey, we had a good time. That's all that matters.
Oh man, we had a great time.
We were the good enough squad.
Yeah.
Good enough,
Yeah. Guys, I think we got to wrap it up because this has been
great.
Such a good episode.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
We're going to have him back again just so we can finish asking questions.
Yeah.
Anytime.
100%.
We're going to critique his game when it comes out.
Oh yeah, I would love to almost be in a live session and just hear what you guys think of the
Maybe
game.
you know what? Maybe we could do that. Maybe we all
I've been
log
told
on
I'm not
together
allowed to go
record.
live.
Daryl's a risk.
Fair enough.
Daryl's a brand
there's
risk.
a risk.
The flight risk.
Cancellation policy.
Wild card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes,
Simon,
we'd love to have you back.
thank you again for coming on. It was really, really cool to hear insights from this whole industry from a side we've never heard before. So thank you again. I know you and Daryl go way back, and we do too in some
Oh boy.
late nights.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What
But
are
my boy
your
Blue.
what is your most
Many
recent
adventures between Simon and I. Many adventures.
what is your most recent game?
Unprecedented.
I'm gonna put some links in the show notes, but what is your most recent mobile game if people want to check it out?
So there's basically 3 that you could look at: Lone Wolf, Sierra 7, and Gun Sim.
Okay.
Those are kind of my 3 big mobile games. All shooting games. If you're into first person shooters,
the
you'll have fun with them. Shooting.
Let the shooting begin.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, I hope everyone had a good time. I would say that episode was good enough.
It's good enough.
Yeah, good enough.
Nice. I like that.
Say it.
Say the words.
Say the words.
This was good enough. It's good enough. It's good enough.
Good
No,
enough.
I loved it. Thank you guys so much. And just talking to gamers is always such a blast because we're all cut from the same cloth, and it's fun to talk about everybody's experiences. So I had a great time.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content. We also invite you to write an email or join us on Discord to talk about anything from our episodes or something else you would like to discuss in the future. Please subscribe to the Good Enough Gaming podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. And remember, we might not be great, but we are good enough.